Alright, homeboys, we are back. And we got some more Fey content. So today we got the new Wind Tribe banner that dropped. So on this banner, we have this new Dagr alt. Finally, we got some more love to the Jotunheim twins. And Dagr, of course, being the, well, my favorite of the two. I do like how she's just got a very fun personality, like calling Alphonse the Alfster and so on and so forth. So anyways, I think this is probably the best unit on the banner overall. She seems to be offering the most unique and most effective support effects to her allies, which is pretty much Pathfinder. So we go down here, we take a look at what her kit is able to do. Her weapon is essentially just Arcane Devourer, except it's got a built-in effect where she can nab the opponent's bonuses, so similar to, like, Binding Necklace. So a pretty strong weapon there. But the real selling point to her is her unique beast skill. So Twin Sky Wing is going to grant Pathfinder to her support partner for 1 turn. And at the start of combat, also, it gives her speed and defense -5 on the enemies and null follow-up if the enemies, or if her HP is over 25%. And it also enables Pathfinder on her. So we've never really had a unit like this before. I mean, we do have this unit, of course. This unit can just grant party-wide Pathfinder, which is insanely strong. You guys already know, if you fought her in summoner duels, how powerful this duo skill can be. But it's only a one and done, and you can also turn it off. You can counter her duo skill with Duo Thor if you need to in a pinch. So there is counterplay to her, and it's only for 1 turn once again, as I said, whereas this, you're getting Pathfinder on an ally, and it's permanent. It's like going to be there for the start of every turn throughout the entire fight, as long as you have ally support with that unit. And then this unit herself has Pathfinder. So it's essentially like a permanent version of this unit, which I think is really insane, and it's going to be very difficult to deal with this, very difficult to stop this. It's going to be super effective to do this in summoner duels, where extending reach and getting Pathfinder for your other units to move in is very strong. So what we're going to be doing today is taking a look at some units that I think would be the premier choices to ally support with her and give her Pathfinder effect too. We've got quite a couple of units to look at here, and we're going to start, of course, with the brand new legendary Lear. Now, having ally support with Lear also grants effects to Dagr, which would be really helpful for her. So Dragon Blast would allow Dagr and Lear to both break through enemy DR, which is one of the things that this Dagr cannot do on her own. She has no way to pierce through DR. But if you support her with Lear, then she can all of a sudden. And now you're also giving Lear Pathfinder, which is really good because this is one of the better Omni tanks in the game. It's very easy to throw Lear into the front lines and not have to worry about her too much. There's only a handful of units that are going to even be able to threaten her on the player phase. So being able to just throw her in there and extend the reach really well. We're running drawback on all of these units, by the way. And the reason why that is because you can have drawback on a Pathfinder unit, have them draw back a unit, and then they're going to both move 1 space up. The unit that used drawback, which is going to be our Pathfinder support, is going to end up in enemy territory. They're going to be in the danger zone, while the unit you drawed back is going to be just outside of it by 1 space. So this is an effective way to extend your reach and allow your other units to gain a lot of momentum there. So that's why drawback is going to be present on all of these builds. Now for this Lear, we have Scowl on the build. That's going to turn off pre-charge specials, so it makes her more sturdy. So pre-charge specials that nullify DR are not going to be a threat to her, which she's getting some DR here from Null C4. And then we also have Distant Counter D, so she can just pull off the Omni Tank role much better and counterattack ranged threats. Units like Legendary Hinoka and Legendary Veronica are not going to be able to threaten her whatsoever, because they are very reliant on their fire sweep effects. And then even if they did have pre-charged specials, you can just turn them off. So this Lear is a very, very strong unit to be giving Pathfinder to. Alright, next up we have the duo Ymir here. This is a really good frontliner as well. So we're giving Null C Disrupt 4 to them, so they can also counterattack regardless of who's hitting them. They have 75% DR on their weapon on the first hit, and they also inflict possibly attack and res -18 on the enemies, which is just ludicrous amounts. They also have Ever-Living Domain to provide Miracle. So if for some reason the enemies are able to one-shot them, it's not going to matter because you still survive. And we have Hardy Bearing on this build as well, so we can turn off Auto Desperation. So units like T. Lysithea, who are very reliant on hitting you twice in a row, you're only going to be able to hit this unit once in a row, and that's not quite enough to get through Miracle. So this can be a very strong frontline option. We also have Flare on the build just to get some more HP recovery with them. Alright, this is also Legendary Selloff, another good unit to be giving Pathfinder to. So this guy, his remix was like God's here, man. He might have had the best remix, period. Like, out of all these units, I think also Mythic Lift got a really good remix, and then also Altina's remix was really good, but I think Selloff's is just better. Because he went from 0 to hero, man. This guy, he was a nobody. He was a wash before the remix, and now, all of a sudden, he's like one of the best Omni tanks in the game. So again, we're running Hardy Bearing, so we can turn off enemies' ability to hit him with Desperation, which could be a problem if they're able to proc a special that nullifies DR on the second hit, like with Veronica, for example. You would be able to stop that in its tracks. He also has built-in Null C, which is really good for a cavalry-type unit to be able to do. So that's the idea with this build. He also Brave attacks on the enemy phase. So most player-phasing range units, they're getting DR from their first attack because they have like Remote Sparrow or like Brash Assault or like something like that, which would give them some DR on the first hit, but they're not getting DR on the second hit in most cases. So with the Brave attack, your second hit will most likely finish off whatever hits you. So giving this guy Pathfinder is very effective. Alright, next up we have some flying units here. We have the Summer Male Chez, who can run Soaring Guidance. Now, why this is really good is because Soaring Guidance is allowing your infantry and flying type units to move in. They're able to warp within 2 spaces of this Chez. And then when you're giving him Pathfinder, you're also allowing your cavalry units to benefit from him because they can use him as a jump point to move an extra space. So it's like he's giving triple movement type support here when you have Pathfinder on this guy. So a very nice combo there. Of course, this build is pretty much self-explanatory. His weapon does not have -1 special trigger, so we're able to run Gambit 4 to full effect. Also, he's got a Brave attack, and he also has Kanto Rem built in, which is nice. Attack and Speed Prime 4 is going to be rearing its ugly head on like every one of these builds now. And then Hardy Bearing, again, just to turn off like auto desperation effects so he has a better chance to live. It's also pretty good on the player phase too, because you can break through like Vantage units such as the Fallen Byleth or like Ninja Camilla and stuff like that. So Hardy Bearing has some pretty good multi-purpose usability now. Alright, then if you want something a little bit sturdier, I mean, this guy is pretty solid overall. He's pretty sturdy, but Bunny Maria is going to be even sturdier than that because she has built-in IO shield and she also has true damage based on defense, or true DR and true damage based on defense, so the Asker effect. Imagine just getting steamrolled by this cute little baby here with these baby hands. This would not be a fun time. So again, Soaring Guidance, so we can have that triple movement support with the Pathfinder helping out your calves, and then Soaring Guidance for infantry and flyers. Hardy Bearing yet again to turn off auto desperation, and then the rest is pretty much history. We've also got Miracle on these two, so possibly you can get some... If you've got like Asker on the team, Duo Asker to get -2, or you have like Rally Spectrum and so on and so forth, you can really ramp into Miracle pretty fast, so that would provide you with a guaranteed way out of any attack that may happen. So pretty solid stuff there. And the last batch of units we have to show here are a bunch of God Swords. So, of course, the 3 premier God Swords, I would say these are the standout ones. So, we've got Lucia here. Lucia just turns off all of the bullshit with her weapon. So, it's very hard to break through her. She's a very strong frontliner. Then we have Fiorm, Summer Fiorm, who is in a similar boat. She's a little bit more susceptible to things than Lucia is, because her weapon just doesn't deny, like, every single thing. But she has Null C built in, and then she also has... what's the other thing? She has the crazy amount of attack and speed dropping on the enemy with her check there. She does, like, 20% of her speed will reduce their attack and speed. So it's a crazy amount of stats you can get on her, and also it's very hard to beat her on a speed check. Frostbite Mirror also provides non-pierceable DR, which should help you survive most things. And then Hardy Bearing to also nullify enemies from doing desperation attacks, which would be a problem for her. So units like T-Time Ira or T-Lysithia or etc., those units that can hit her twice in a row, she's not going to be able to proc Frostbite Mirror twice. So unless she gets the counterattack in between there. So that's why Hardy Bearing can be very effective on her. And then finally, we got the Fallen Byleth, who we can't really run Hardy Bearing on her because she wants to be Vantage attacking the enemies. So we got Null C4. That's going to turn off Fire Sweep effects, which is one of her major weaknesses. So once you do that, and then you're counterattacking right away with Divine Pulse, and you get the non-pierceable DR, this can be a really crazy frontline unit to have. Also, Divine Pulse gives non-pierceable DR, so there's really not much to worry about with this unit if you can get her in front. And then you're also got Null C4 to turn off any, like, nonsense that may happen. So this is another really good frontline option. She has Bulwark too, so that's even stronger frontline support. And then finally, we got these two Vantage options here. I would say Altina's probably a little more sturdy in the long haul than this Camilla, because there's more counters to this Camilla. She's not able to have Null C4 and etc., but not having Null C4 isn't the biggest deal for this Altina. So we've got Guard Bearing here, Hardy Bearing as well. As I said, it shows up on pretty much most of these builds to stop Desperation, but in the case of Camilla and Byleth, we can't run Hardy Bearing because they need to Vantage. And then she's got a ton of DR on her. What does she get? Like res-based DR, if I'm not mistaken? Something like that. And then she has the Brave attack. She can hit with Twin Blades to nullify enemy DR and get rid of them. And then Guard Bearing 4 is just super solid for the B skill. We can't run Gambit on her, unfortunately, because Twin Blades only has a 2-hit cooldown. So that would be the idea with Altina there. And then finally, of course, Camilla, doing pretty much the same thing as most of these other flyers. We got Soaring Guidance and then stacking her attack and res as much as we can. So those are pretty much who I would consider the best frontline options to be giving Pathfinder to. Now, having Pathfinder on these units in tandem with also this Dagr having Pathfinder, you can create a little bit of a Congo line there. Not quite as huge as this one, but this is only a one and done with the duo skill, whereas this is every single turn. So being able to do this and then have 2 units in front that have the Pathfinder effect, and then your other units are free to move in 2 free spaces, essentially, and then get to the enemies that way, is going to be very strong. So play accordingly. It's not going to work on every Summoner Duels map, because the map we have currently is very biased towards flyers and not really too important for cavalry types, because there's a big blockade in the middle. So you would want to make sure you're using a strategy like this on a map that has a wide open middle, so that you can just run and gun your cavalry units right through and get to the opponents. Cavalry are the main types that benefit from Pathfinder, specifically the ones that are gaining bonus movement. So your Brave Selloffs, your Tea-Time Iras with the duo skill, your Tea-Time, or not Tea-Time, your Thief Ninas, and also your Wind Tribe Kageros. Those are the units that are gaining +1 movement and have the cavalry movement already. So just some food for thought there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video here and some ideas on how to support your Dagr with some good options that can just make the most out of that Pathfinder support. So this is your boy Tacho signing out. Take care, fellas, and I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.